The trap in the forest. The forest was silent, too silent for any normal night. The tall black trees stood like walls, their twisted branches blocking even the faint moonlight. In the middle of this endless shadow, a man moved slowly, careful not to make a sound. His name was Kale, a human hunter. But tonight he was not hunting animals. Tonight he was waiting for something far more dangerous, aliens. For many nights, strange creatures had been raiding the nearby villages. They stole food, broke homes, and sometimes left people missing. No one dared to enter the forest after sunset, but Kale was different. He was stubborn, brave, and maybe too reckless. He had promised himself that he would stop these creatures, once and for all. For weeks, Kale studied their paths. He followed broken branches, claw marks on the ground, and strange, glowing tracks that no human beast could make. And finally, he built the perfect trap. Strong iron spikes hidden beneath the earth, ropes tied to heavy stones, and a cage covered in leaves. It was no ordinary trap. It was clever, designed with both human skill and stolen alien metal he had found in the ruins of past battles. Kyle believed nothing could escape it. Tonight he waited near the trap hidden under thick bushes. His hands were steady on his spear, but his heart beat louder than the insects around him. The forest air was cold, heavy, and full of tension. Every crack of a branch made his eyes snap open. Every whisper of the wind made his grip tighter. Hours passed. The moon crawled slowly across the sky. His eyes began to grow heavy, and he wondered if this night would also end in silence. Then it happened. A low growl rolled through the darkness. The ground trembled as if something large was moving. Kyle's eyes widened. The sound grew closer. Snapping branches, heavy footsteps, and a strange humming noise like electricity in the air. He crouched lower, barely breathing. His trap was ready. The noise came nearer. Then suddenly, snap! The forest exploded with sound. The trap had sprung. Iron bars clanged shut. Ropes snapped tight and the cage shook violently. Kale's heart raced. He had done it. He had caught one of them. But the sound that followed froze his blood. It wasn't a roar. It wasn't a beastly scream. It was a sharp, furious voice. A voice that spoke words. "Release me." Kale's eyes widened. His grip on the spear loosened. Slowly, carefully, he stepped out from his hiding place and approached the trap. His breath misted in the cold night as he moved closer to the cage. What he saw inside made him stop dead in his tracks. It wasn't the kind of alien he had expected. Not a wild beast, not a mindless predator. Inside the cage, tangled in glowing ropes, was a figure that looked almost human. She was tall, her skin faintly glowing in the darkness, her eyes bright like burning stars. Her hair shimmered with a strange silver-blue color, and strange markings glowed faintly across her arms and neck. She was beautiful, but terrifying. Every part of her looked like it carried power, danger, and something untamed. Her hands pulled against the glowing chains that wrapped her wrists. Every time she moved, sparks of light crackled, and the ropes strained as if they would snap any moment. She looked straight at Kale, her eyes filled with anger. "You fool," she hissed. "Do you know what you've done?" Kale swallowed hard, his throat dry. His mind screamed at him to run, but his legs refused to move. This wasn't what he planned. He thought he had built a trap for monsters, but he had caught something else, something far more dangerous. The forest around him grew silent again, but not the same silence as before. This time it felt alive, heavy, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. The night was no longer his ally. It belonged to her. Kale's spear trembled in his hand. He didn't know if he should thrust it forward, hold it tighter, or drop it and run. But deep inside, a strange thought whispered to him. Maybe catching her was no mistake. Maybe this was the beginning of something he could not even imagine. And then she smiled. Not a kind smile, not a gentle one. A dangerous smile that promised both doom and discovery. Her glowing eyes locked onto him, and her voice was calm now, almost soft. "You built the perfect trap, human," she said, her tone sharp like a blade. But the question is, who is truly trapped tonight? Kale's breath caught. He suddenly realized the truth. His greatest hunt had only just begun. The strange captive. The cage groaned as the figure inside shifted, her glowing chains sparking against the bars. Kyle stood frozen, his spear trembling slightly in his hand. He had caught something no human had ever seen before, at least not this close. The alien woman's eyes burned with an unnatural light, like embers in the dark. She was not panicking, not afraid. Instead, she watched him with sharp focus, as if she were the hunter and he the prey. Kale's throat tightened. He had planned to face claws and teeth, but instead he faced a mind, a voice, and a power he didn't understand. Her voice came again, low and commanding. "Release me." Kyle shook his head slowly, though his body begged him to obey. "You're dangerous," he muttered. "You'll kill me the moment I set you free." She tilted her head, her silver blue hair glowing faintly under the moonlight. "And if you don't?" she asked. Her lips curved into a faint, dangerous smile. "Do you think your fragile iron bars can hold me for long?" Kale glanced at the trap. The glowing rope strained every time she moved. He had stolen that alien material from ruins years ago, believing it unbreakable. But the way her body tensed, the way the light cracked and hissed around her wrists, made him realize it would not hold forever. "You're no ordinary raider," Kale said carefully, stepping closer, though his heart hammered in his chest. "What are you?" Her laughter was soft, bitter. "You humans always ask the wrong question. You should ask, what have you caught?" Kyle hesitated, studying her face. She was unlike any creature he had seen, too human to be beast, too alien to be trusted. But there was something in her eyes beyond anger, something deeper, like pain hidden under fire. The forest wind blew cold, and Kale's mind spun. He thought of the villages, of the missing people, of the ruined homes. Was she behind it all? Or was she running from something else? "You came to my land," Kale said, trying to keep his voice firm. "You and your kind took from us. So I set a trap. I thought I would catch a monster. And instead," she whispered, leaning closer to the bars, "you caught me." Her gaze was so piercing that Kale took a step back. For a moment he felt small, like a child standing before a storm. Silence stretched between them until the alien woman broke it. "Do you know why the forest is silent tonight?" she asked. Kale frowned. "Because of you?" Her smile faded. "No, because of them. They hunt me, they smell my trail, and now they will smell yours." Kale's stomach turned cold. He wanted to call her a liar, but the forest air had changed. It was thicker, heavier. Even the insects were gone. He realized the silence wasn't peaceful, it was warning. He tightened his grip on the spear. "Who's hunting you?" Her chains sparked again as she pulled, her body tensing. "My own kind," she said. "And when they arrive, human, you will regret building this trap." Kale's chest burned with unease. He had trapped a stranger, but in doing so, had pulled himself into a war he didn't understand. She leaned closer, her face now half lit by the moon. "If you want to survive, you'll release me. If you want to live through the night, you'll fight with me, not against me." Kyle's breath caught. He hated her arrogance, but every word she spoke carried the weight of truth. He could feel it in the air, in the tremble of the ground beneath his feet. Something was coming, something worse. For a long moment he stared at her. This strange captive glowing with power chained inside his trap. She looked like both doom and salvation, and he didn't know which one she would be. Finally, he whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The alien woman tilted her head again, her eyes never leaving his. "You've started something you cannot end." And then, from deep within the forest, came the sound that proved her words true. Low, echoing growls. Not one, not two. Many. Kyle's spear felt suddenly too small, too weak. His heart thudded in his chest as he turned toward the sound. The trap had worked, yes, but it had pulled him into a danger greater than he ever imagined. Behind him, the alien captive smiled again, her chain sparking with light. "You see now, human?" she whispered. "The real hunt begins." The dangerous bargain. The growls grew louder, echoing through the forest like drums of war. Kyle's grip on his spear tightened until his knuckles turned white. His trap had caught something powerful, but now he realized the true danger wasn't inside the cage. It was approaching fast from the darkness. The alien woman's glowing eyes narrowed. Her voice cut through the night, calm but sharp. "They are here." Kyle swallowed hard. "Who?" She leaned against the bars, chains sparking. "Hunters. Not yours. Mine." The sound of branches snapping echoed closer. Heavy footsteps shook the earth, and Kale's instincts screamed at him to run. But he couldn't. Not with her caught in his trap. Not with the ground vibrating like an army was closing in. He turned back to the alien prisoner. Her eyes never wavered from his. "Release me," she said, her tone commanding, almost royal. "If you do, I will fight them. If you don't, you will die here tonight." Kale shook his head. "You'll kill me the second I set you free." Her lips curved into a dangerous smile. "If I wanted you dead, human, you would already be lying in the dirt." Kale's chest tightened. Her words carried weight. She was chained, trapped, yet she spoke with the confidence of someone who controlled the entire forest. The growls grew into voices now, low, guttural, alien speech. Kyle saw faint lights glowing between the trees, weapons or torches, he couldn't tell. They were close, too close. "You don't understand," the woman whispered. "They are not here for you. They are here for me. And they will burn everything in their path to take me back." Kale stared at her. "Why? Who are you to them?" Her eyes flickered with something almost human. Pain. But it vanished quickly, replaced by steel. "That is not your concern. What matters is this. Release me, and I fight for you. Keep me trapped, and you will be their first meal." Kale's heart pounded. He had spent weeks building the perfect trap. To open it now felt like betraying his own work, his own pride. But the shadows between the trees were growing thicker, and he could already hear claws scraping against bark, weapons charging with strange energy. He turned toward the cage again. "Swear to me," he demanded, his voice shaking but firm. "Swear. You won't kill me if I set you free." The woman tilted her head. For the first time her smile softened, though it carried no kindness. "You have my word, Hunter, you caught me. That means you are mine. I do not kill what belongs to me." Kyle stiffened at the words. Something about the way she said it, like ownership, like a bond already formed, sent a chill down his spine. But before he could argue, the first alien hunter stepped into view. It was taller than any human, its body wrapped in dark armor, its face hidden behind a mask with glowing red eyes. More followed behind, their weapons raised, hissing in strange voices that made Kyle's skin crawl. The woman inside the cage whispered quickly, urgently, "Decide now, human. Them or me." Kale's breath caught. He had no time left. With shaking hands, he pulled his hunting knife and slashed the rope mechanism. The glowing chains loosened. The bars of the trap creaked open, and with a burst of crackling light, the alien woman stepped free. She stretched her arms, the glow along her body pulsing brighter. For a moment, Kale thought she might strike him down, but instead she turned to the advancing hunters, her voice low and fierce. "They dare chase me here," she whispered. "Fools." Her aura exploded like fire. Sparks of blue light swirled around her as the hunters roared and charged forward. Kyle stumbled back, gripping his spear, caught between fear and awe. The woman glanced at him once, her eyes glowing like twin suns. "Stay close, human," she said. "Tonight your life is tied to mine." Then she leapt forward, meeting the enemy head-on. The forest lit up with energy blasts, roars, and the clash of steel. Kale's spear felt like a twig compared to their weapons, but he raised it anyway. He realized that by freeing her he had entered a war not meant for him, yet deep inside something burned brighter than fear. A strange feeling that maybe, just maybe, he had not made a mistake. And as the battle began, one thought echoed in his mind. He hadn't just caught an alien. He had unleashed something far more dangerous. Whispers of power. The forest shook with chaos. Blue sparks of energy lit up the trees as the alien woman fought with a speed Kale could hardly follow. Her hands glowed with fire-like light, every strike, sending hunters crashing into the ground. Their weapons hissed and burned, but she moved like a storm, breaking their lines apart. Kale stood back, clutching his spear, his breath uneven. He had fought animals before, even faced smaller alien raiders, but nothing compared to this. She wasn't just fighting, she was destroying, tearing through the hunters as if she had been born for war. Still, the enemy was many. Dark shapes moved in the shadows circling them, their guttural voices echoing. Kyle realized the truth. If not for her, he would already be dead. One of the hunters broke away and lunged at him, blade raised. Kale lifted his spear just in time, but the alien's strength nearly snapped it in half. His knees buckled and the weapon was ripped from his hands. Death glared at him through glowing red eyes. And then, light. The alien woman appeared between them, her body glowing brighter than ever. She raised her palm and with a violent crack, the hunter was thrown back into the trees, its armor sparking. She turned to Kale, her expression unreadable. "Stay behind me, human," she ordered. Kale's chest pounded. He wanted to argue, to say he wasn't helpless, but when he looked at the broken spear in his hand, he knew she was right. The battle raged on until the last hunter fled into the dark. The forest fell into silence again, but this silence was different, heavy, almost trembling, as though the trees themselves feared her. The woman stood tall, her glow fading slowly. She breathed deeply, her shoulders rising and falling, but her eyes were still sharp, still alive with fire. Kale stared at her. His throat felt dry. What are you?" She turned, her gaze catching his, and for the first time her voice was softer. Not gentle, but quieter, like a whisper carried by the wind. "I am something my kind fears," she said. Kale frowned. "You fought like 10 soldiers. You killed them without mercy. Why are they chasing you if you're so strong?" Her lips curved, but not in amusement. It was a sad smile, one that carried weight. "Because strength can be dangerous, even to those who claim to be my people, especially to them." Kale's mind spun. He had expected monsters raiding villages, not politics, not betrayal. She stepped closer, her silver blue hair glowing faintly in the dark. "They will not stop, Hunter," she whispered. "More will come. They know I am here, and they will burn everything until they find me." Kale clenched his fists. "Then leave. Go far from here. Why drag this fight into my land?" Her glowing eyes softened just a fraction. "Do you think I chose this?" she asked. "Do you think I wanted to be hunted like prey?" For the first time, Kyle saw something new in her, something that wasn't rage or power. It was pain, deep, hidden pain that she tried to bury beneath her strength. She turned her face away, looking into the shadows of the forest. "They fear me because of what I carry, a power that was never meant to exist, a power that can end them, or free them." Kyle's breath caught. "Power?" She nodded slowly. "It burns inside me, human. A voice, a fire, a chain. Sometimes I hear it whispering in my sleep. Sometimes I feel it trying to break free. And they..." She pointed toward the direction the hunters had fled. "They want it for themselves. They will kill me to take it, or cage me to control it." Kyle stared, his body cold. He wanted to call her a liar, but something about the way she spoke made it impossible. Her words were heavy with truth. "Why tell me this?" Kyle asked carefully. Her gaze snapped back to him, sharp again. "Because you are the first human foolish enough to trap me. And now, whether you wish it or not, your life is bound to mine. You wanted to hunt monsters. Now you have caught something worse. A secret that could burn this world. Kale's heart pounded. He looked around the forest, now quiet, but the silence felt fragile, like it could shatter any moment. What do you want from me? He asked. Finally, she stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly as she whispered, Survival. Yours and mine. If you wish to live, you will stay with me. You will fight beside me, because once they return, the trap you built will not save you. Only I will. Kale's breath came heavy. Every part of him wanted to run, to forget her, to forget this night. But some strange pull kept him rooted. He had built the trap to protect his people. Instead, he had caught something that might destroy them or save them. And deep inside, a whisper stirred in his mind, echoing her words. This was only the beginning. Hunters in the night. The forest did not rest. After the fight, Kyle expected silence to bring peace, but instead it carried weight. The wind felt colder, sharper, as if it whispered of danger yet to come. The alien woman stood still, her glowing body slowly dimming, though her eyes stayed bright and alert. Kyle sat on a fallen log, gripping the broken shaft of his spear. His hands trembled, though he tried to hide it. He had fought before, but never against an army, never beside something that burned like living fire. Every time he looked at her, he felt caught between awe and fear. You said they will come back, Kyle finally muttered. The woman's head turned sharply, silver blue hair catching faint moonlight. They will not stop, she answered. When hunters fail, more are sent, stronger, smarter. And this time they will not send only soldiers. They will send shadows. Kale frowned. Shadows? She stepped closer, her expression unreadable. You humans hide in forests, yes? You think trees make you safe. But my kind has ways of moving without sound, without form. They will come for me in the night, and anyone near me will suffer. Her words made Kale's stomach knot. He looked around at the darkness pressing in between the trees. For years, the forest had been his home, a place where he moved like a ghost, unseen and safe. But now it felt different. Now it belonged to them. Then why stay here? He asked. Why not keep running? For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Weariness, maybe even sorrow, but then her voice hardened again. Because I am done running, they want me, let them come, but this time they will bleed for it. Kale's chest tightened. She spoke like a warrior, but he could not shake the image of villages burning, families screaming, children lost in raids. If they came here, they would not only find her, they would find him, and maybe worse, they would find his people. You're dragging war into our world, he said bitterly, and you expect me to fight. For you? She tilted her head, eyes glowing faintly. Not for me, Hunter. For yourself. Do you think they will leave you alive once they smell your connection to me? Kyle clenched his jaw. He hated the truth in her words. He had stepped into something larger than himself the moment his trap closed on her. Now, no matter what he wanted, there was no turning back. The night grew colder and Kale began gathering wood for a small fire. The flames crackled weakly, giving more comfort than warmth. He sat close, staring into the light, his mind heavy. The woman stood at the edge of the clearing, eyes on the trees. She never sat, never rested. Her posture was sharp, her body like a drawn blade. Kale watched her from the corner of his eye. She looked untouchable, yet he remembered the flicker of pain in her voice earlier. A warrior, yes, but not unbreakable. Hours passed. Kale's eyelids grew heavy, but every time he closed them, he heard the memory of growls, the clash of weapons, her voice saying, "They will come." Sleep was impossible. Then it happened. A twig snapped. Not far. Just beyond the fire's weak glow. Kale froze, his breath caught. Slowly his hand reached for the knife at his belt. His eyes searched the darkness, but the trees seemed to shift and blur. The alien woman spoke without turning her head. Do not move. They are here. Kyle's pulse pounded in his ears. The fire crackled too loud. Every breath felt too sharp. Shadows moved between the trees. Not like men, not like animals, but like mist given shape. Figures half-formed, glowing faintly, slipping from trunk to trunk. He gripped his knife tighter. "What are they?" he whispered. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice low. "Hunters of the void, assassins, sent to take me alive." Kale's throat went dry. "Alive?" Her gaze flicked to him briefly. "And to kill anyone near me." The shadows closed in, circling the clearing. The fire flickered. As if afraid, Kale's chest tightened. There were too many, and they were nothing like the armored hunters before. These moved like ghosts, impossible to track. The woman finally turned, her voice sharp. "Stay close, human. Tonight your forest becomes their hunting ground." Kale's breath shook. He thought of his trap, his spear, his pride as a hunter. But now, under the gaze of these shadows, he felt like prey. And as the first assassin stepped into the light, its body shifting like smoke around glowing red eyes, Kale realized the night was only beginning. The escape. The shadows crept closer, their forms twisting in and out of the darkness. They had no clear faces, only glowing red eyes that flickered like embers. Kyle's grip on his knife felt useless. These weren't enemies he could stab or strike like wild beasts. They moved like smoke, and yet the ground trembled under their steps. The alien woman stepped forward, her glowing body casting faint light around the clearing. Her voice was calm, but her tone was sharp like a blade. "Stay behind me, human. If you stray even one step, you die." Kyle swallowed hard. He hated the way she commanded him, but fear chained his legs. The assassins circled them, silent, patient. The fire in the clearing sputtered weakly, as though afraid of the night itself. Then one of the shadows struck. It moved with impossible speed, leaping toward Kyle. He barely raised his knife before a flash of light split the air. The alien woman slammed her hand into the creature, and blue sparks burst out like lightning. The shadow shrieked, its form breaking apart into smoke before vanishing completely. Kale's heart raced. He staggered back, gasping. "What are they?" "Hunters of the void," she answered, her eyes never leaving the darkness. "Born to kill silently. They come in numbers, they never stop." And as if to prove her words, 3 more shadows rushed in at once. Kyle ducked as claws slashed through the air above him. The woman moved like lightning, her body a blur. Each strike of her glowing hands shattered a shadow, but every time she destroyed one, 2 more appeared. Kyle realized quickly, this was not a fight they could win. "They'll keep coming," he shouted over the chaos. The woman's eyes glowed, brighter, her voice steady even as she fought. "Then we do not stay. We escape." Kale's stomach dropped. Escape? Into where? The forest stretched endless in every direction, and the shadows moved faster than anything he had ever seen. But when she grabbed his arm suddenly, pulling him into the trees, he didn't resist. "Run," she commanded. Kyle stumbled at first, but his body obeyed. The woman's grip was iron, dragging him through the forest with impossible speed. Branches snapped, roots tore underfoot, but she never slowed. Behind them, the shadows gave chase, their red eyes glowing brighter, their whispers echoing like 1,000 voices. Kale's lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he forced himself forward. Every time he glanced back, the shadows were closer. Their claws swiped through tree trunks like blades through paper. The forest seemed to bend toward them, trapping them in darkness. Suddenly, the woman stopped. Kale nearly crashed into her, gasping for breath. She raised her hand, pressing it against a massive stone wall hidden among the trees. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its surface. "What are you doing?" Kyle demanded, panic in his voice. Her voice was low, urgent, opening a path. The stone pulsed with light, cracks glowing like veins. The shadows hissed, drawing nearer. Kale's chest tightened. There wasn't enough time. He raised his knife desperately, though it felt like holding a twig against a storm. One shadow lunged, its claws reaching for him. Kale swung his knife wildly, but the strike passed through smoke. The claws slashed toward his chest. Then the woman moved. In a flash, she stood between him and the shadow, her body blazing with light. With a furious cry, she struck the creature, tearing it apart in a burst of sparks. Her eyes snapped to him, burning. "Do not fight. You will only die. Trust me." The stone wall cracked open with a deafening roar. A hidden passage yawned before them, glowing faintly with blue light. Without waiting, she dragged him inside. As soon as they crossed the threshold, the stone sealed shut behind them. The shadows slammed against the wall, their red eyes glowing through cracks, but they could not follow. Their screeches echoed through the forest, fading slowly into silence. Cale collapsed against the smooth stone, gasping for air. Sweat dripped down his face, his chest burning. He looked at her, his voice trembling. What is this place?" Her glow softened, her breathing steady. She stood tall, her gaze fixed on the faintly glowing tunnel ahead. "A path older than your people. A place even my hunters cannot follow. For now we are safe." Cale's head spun. Safe? Nothing about this felt safe. He thought of his village, of the people who had no idea such enemies even existed. He thought of how close he had come to dying, how powerless he had been. He forced himself to his feet, his knife still clutched tightly. His eyes met hers. "You saved me," he admitted grudgingly. She tilted her head, her lips curling into the faintest of smiles. "Not saved, human. Kept. You belong to me now." Cale's chest tightened. He hated those words, hated the way she claimed him. But before he could speak, the tunnel ahead pulsed with brighter light, like something alive was waiting for them. And in that moment, Kyle realized the escape was not an ending. It was the beginning of something far worse. The dangerous truth. The tunnel stretched long and endless, glowing faintly with blue veins that pulsed like a living heartbeat. Cale followed closely, his knife still in hand, though it felt useless here. Each step echoed against the smooth stone, the sound swallowed quickly by the silence around them. The alien woman walked ahead, tall and unyielding, her silver-blue hair shimmering in the faint glow. She did not look back, but Kyle could feel her presence pressing against him, heavy and commanding, as if she filled the entire space. Finally, Kyle broke the silence. His voice echoed small against the vast tunnel. "You said I belonged to you. What did you mean by that?" Her steps slowed, but she didn't turn. "You caught me in your trap. In my people's law, the one who captures is tied to the one captured. A bond unbreakable, hunter and prey joined by fate." Cale frowned, his chest tightening. "That was just a trap. I didn't want this bond. I only wanted to protect my people." Now she did turn, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "And yet you freed me. You chose to stand with me when death came. That makes you more than a hunter. That makes you mine." Cale felt a chill run through him. He wanted to deny her words, but deep down, he knew she was right. He could have left her to die in the cage. He could have run, but he hadn't. Something inside him, curiosity, courage, or madness, had tied him to her long before she claimed it. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Kyle stopped, his breath catching. The cavern was enormous, glowing with the same blue veins that ran across the walls. Strange symbols pulsed faintly, carved into the stone ages ago. At the center stood a massive crystal, tall as a tower, glowing with fierce light. "What is this place?" Kyle whispered. Her gaze fixed on the crystal. For the first time, her expression softened, almost reverent. "This is the heart of power, the prison and the key." Cale's stomach nodded. "Prison," she nodded slowly. "Inside that crystal lies the truth of my people. A force too great, too dangerous. They hunt me because I carry its seed within me. If I fall into their hands, they will unlock it, and your world will burn." Cale's chest pounded. He had feared monsters stealing food and people. But this was something far beyond. "Why tell me this?" Her glowing eyes turned to him, steady and fierce. Because you chose me when you freed me, and now your fate is tied to mine. If I fall, you fall. If I fight, you fight. Whether you accept it or not, Hunter, the bond is sealed. Kyle stepped closer, his voice rising with anger. You're saying my people are in danger because of you? Her expression darkened. They were in danger the moment you built your trap. You pulled me into your world. You cannot turn away now. Cale wanted to shout to deny it, but the truth weighed heavy on him. The hunters, the assassins, the shadows, they would not stop. And if she spoke the truth, then the crystal in front of him was the key to a disaster greater than anything he had imagined. Silence stretched between them. Then, softly, she whispered, "Do not fear me, human. Fear what will come if they take me." Kyle stared at her. She was dangerous, powerful, perhaps the very thing that could destroy his world. Yet in this moment he also saw something else. She was alone, hunted, burdened with a power she did not ask for. Beneath her strength there was a shadow of sorrow, and against all reason, Cale felt something shift inside him. Not just fear, but resolve. "I don't trust you," he said firmly, "but I won't let them take you." For the first time she smiled, not the sharp, dangerous smile he had seen before, but a small, quiet one. "Wise words, Hunter. You may survive yet." The crystal pulsed brighter, the cavern trembling as if it had heard their vow. Cale gripped his knife tighter, knowing his life was no longer his own. He had set a trap for monsters, and instead captured something that could change the fate of worlds. The alien woman stepped closer, her eyes burning like fire. She whispered one final truth into the silence of the cavern. "You caught me, Cale, but now it is you who can never escape." And, as the chamber shook with distant echoes of footsteps, Cale realized the hunt was far from over. It had only just begun.